Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special Crub sidecast discussion. My name is Kevin, also known as the Golden Bolt. I'm here with two of my fellow co-Crubbers today, talking about the new season of Futurama. The one that was just dancing is Nico, all hail buckets. Hi, Nico.
What's up, gamers?
And the one who just had something fall in the background is famous Twitch streamer JTart9.
How's it going, everybody?
Hi.
I'm doing great.
So for
I've
those
been sick.
That's fine. We're all sick inside. For those that maybe have been out of the loop, if you've been in a time machine for 1,000 years, Futurama just dropped its... Fuck you. Futurama just dropped its 11th season, or technically it's unofficially season 8, but it's officially season 11. They dropped 10 episodes over the last month and change, and it just finished as of a couple days ago at the time of publish here, and we all decided that we wanted to talk about it a little bit and give some thoughts on it, and whether we recommend it or not, which I think the answer is going to be probably yeah, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Justin, let's start with Nico. What do you think about what do you think about this season in the general sense?
I thought it was a solid season of television, albeit maybe not so memorable. It has memorable concepts and memorable execution in some regards, but maybe some of the bits not as memorable as past seasons. But definitely all around solid season of television. They still got it, and I'm very glad they made it. Justin, what about you?
Honestly, kind of the same. This is not a season of Futurama that I'm going to write back home about. There's a couple standout episodes, but there are also a couple episodes that just kind of happened, and I sat on the couch and watched them, and then after I finished it, I was like, all right, okay, next one. I think that they could have really hammered down on maybe like a central theme for the upcoming season. It kind of felt like it jumped around a lot. There was no really continuity between each of them, which Futurama kind of did, kind of didn't.
I was going to say that might be expecting a little too much of any given season of the show. I know that there's a really ardent group of fans that are like, only the Fox seasons were good, everything after that sucked, and I don't think any of us are those people.
No.
Even
Not
Futurama is pizza. Even if it was bad, Futurama is still better than most shows out there in the adult cartoon space. I thought it was pretty good. I think that there were a couple stinkers. There was we'll talk briefly about some of the episodes. We won't go too much into details. There's not really many spoilers to hit on. But there were a couple episodes that were kind of stinkers. I didn't care for the anthology episode they did. That's
episode 9.
Yeah,
I think that's considered.
That
might be considered the worst episode of the entire series from what I've seen.
That episode sucked.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Fun.
So it wasn't just me then. I'm glad to know that, because they had a plot line, and this is no spoilers, but they had an plot line that was going kind of tangentially to everything else. And it started off just immediately contradicting a major, the one major thread of the season.
Yeah. So
And
for those...
they explain it, but
Yeah.
I'm like...
For those that maybe don't recall, at the end of the most recent finale of Futurama, they did a whole thing where Fry and Leela are going in a time loop forever and ever, and they just keep going back around. And that's like us as the fans watching them go around and around, and they have their happy ending where they're together. And they did a really good job throughout this season of keeping that a thing, like not just undoing it like they did with some of the revivals. Like there were a lot of times where they did a will they won't they with Fry and Leela after ending on them together, and this time they just said no, they're going to be together. We're just going to, everything that we've done prior is canon. I'm sure there are retcons, but that episode, for to give a little bit of context, I think the idea was that it's meant to be the writers calling back to a really bad 80s cartoon where there was 2 minutes of action and then 5 commercials. I think that was the intent, and I don't think that I think depending on how old you are, your audience response to that will be different. I don't think that if you were an 80s kid, I don't think you'll necessarily love it, but I think that you're more likely to, if you think of it as it's an episode of He-Man, where they do it, the A plot is very simple. and it's like, oh, Fry does this thing, and then it immediately cuts to a whole 5-minute seg where it's like a commercial for a random thing, and it's just a plot in the commercial, like toy cars or rubber ducks, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I obviously picked that up watching it, but I think the way that I interpreted it was more of like a commentary on just ads in general, commentary on like the influx of advertisement into like our daily media digest, you know. But
that would be the worst of many times they've done that in the entire series, because they've done that.
Yeah.
That's like a running theme of Futurama. Is
Right.
that
There was an episode that did it better, like 4 episodes ago with the Amazon one.
Yeah.
That's just a better commentary on it.
I agree. I mean, I
Yeah.
agree strongly, but this episode was just
it's
very
bad.
bad. And
Execution was
you're-
not good.
Since
But
you're talking about, since you already mentioned Leela and Fry like kind of being together this season, I really like that they didn't walk that back. I was afraid that they might walk it back like they did the last reboot, but very glad they didn't. But then in the beginning of that episode, the first few seconds, they immediately contradict it. They go on to explain it at the end, but it was just like, okay, you maybe should have shown that a little bit.
So
better.
one of the things I forgot is the King of Space is a reference to a prior episode. I forgot about that. That's
too.
of all the times they go back to prior characters that run throughout this season, and they do it a lot. That one I just did not even remember at all. Like they go back to characters like the Fry's Worms. They go back to them.
That was a throwback.
One of
forgot
my
about
favorite
those, and then they
throwbacks.
talked about it.
Yeah. One of my favorite throwbacks was actually watching that episode with the worms. I was like, oh, are they going to reference the worms at least? And then it was the same worms, which was incredible.
Yeah, that was great.
One of the things that I really liked for the first half of the season especially was they would alternate between episodes that were contained or focused on modern topics they didn't get to hit on in 2011 when they ended. So they did an episode about binge watching. Of course, they kind of had to. It's on Hulu. They did an episode about Amazon because Amazon wasn't nearly the powerhouse that it was. So there's a mom Amazon, and it just takes over the universe. And that episode's great.
I think that's my favorite of the season.
But then in between
Amazon
those, they do episodes where they take hey, remember this from 20 years ago? Here's that again. So Kif's kids are now, like Kif and Amy's kids are now in the show. They're not really like major characters, but there's an episode dedicated to like, hey, this was quite literally 20 years ago when we were writing this. So we're going to reference that, and they're now grown kids, and I love that.
I also like all the reference to the limbo bits with Hermes and his family. Like I think that was a good bit to kind of drill down deeper into. I was glad they did that.
Speaking of drilling down into bits, Justin, what did you think about the Bitcoin mining episode?
That one was kind of mid, I'm not gonna lie.
See, I like that one. I thought that was a classic Futurama style episode where they it's played out because that's what sucks about Futurama is a lot of these ideas that they would usually nail, they wanted to do an episode about them, but they're already played out. So there's the COVID episode.
They're now not the first ones to do it. I think the COVID episode is actually way better.
Okay,
the
interesting.
Bitcoin mining
I
one,
thought the COVID one was okay.
I think the COVID
I thought
one
it was mid.
I thought the COVID one was actually, they were able to be a lot more creative with all the commentary as opposed to the Bitcoin mining one, because the Bitcoin mining one, it's just kind of Wild Wild West but with Bitcoin, and everybody's robots, so therefore they can use Bitcoin because they're robots instead of them being humans needing real money.
Yeah. See,
but then with the COVID one, they have like the voodoo scene, and that's what people trust. Good. People don't trust science.
They trust
of course
magic.
They don't trust science.
Yeah.
They trust literal magic, but it's just science because they're just giving them vaccines.
Which they go back to that because then they're like in the episode we're talking about that we don't like, the really bad one. They, instead of it being magic, it's there was a science spell cast over Leela.
Yeah, no,
and that's the whole
exactly.
joke.
Fry was like, "Oh, is it a spell?" Or like someone was like, "Oh, was it a spell?" And they were like, "No." They're like, "It was a science spell," and it was like, "Oh yeah, nice."
There's a couple times they play with the science and magic stuff that were fun. I think with the COVID one, it was just we've seen all the jokes we can see on COVID. So Futurama having one, it needed to have one.
It did.
But the only one of the jokes that got me to laugh were the bits about the voodoo vaccine injection where like there's literally a voodoo doll. That part was good, but then the Omicron Persei 8 aliens showing up and having a variant,
I was like,
that was perfect.
That needed to happen.
Like,
that
No,
needed
they
to happen.
needed that. That one wrote itself.
That was right there.
I do think one of my favorite bits in that was the return of Barbados Slim.
Yes.
Just him sitting there was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Him and Hermes' wife. And
It's
they're
so
like,
good.
and Hermes' wife being like, "No, I love you, Hermes, but call me Barbados Slim."
Yeah. There was also the return of a Christmas episode, which I thought was a really good Christmas episode.
It was. I questioned its inclusion mainly because it's September.
When you don't
Right
really get
now.
a choice when you're going to air stuff on streaming versus in usual syndication timelines.
Yeah.
And
That one felt like they wanted to make a Christmas episode, but they were like, well, we can't release it during Christmas, so we're just going to put it in the season.
yeah, because they had
Just
one
watch
every
it when
year.
it's Christmassy.
Just about.
Yeah.
So
It was a very good Christmas episode
Yeah.
too, so that's why I'm cool with it. But
Plus-
I just like didn't get it.
what I liked about it was also they put a couple rare interactions together. So you don't really see Bender and Zoidberg interact. That's a Bender and Zoidberg episode. I like that. You don't really see like a lot of Amy centric episodes in the show usually, and if it is, it's usually her and Kif, and they both got that episode with the kids. There's a Zap Brannigan gets canceled episode, which was so good.
Great.
Such
Yeah,
a good
that
episode.
one was great.
Like that one's another one that's modern commentary, but it writes itself.
Perfect.
Yep.
Like, it's perfect.
And there were a lot of times where they brought those like weird pairings together that we didn't really see in the original run that I thought was nice. If maybe a little bit slapsticky at times that you don't really see from older Futurama, at least that I really recall. Like Bender would fall on a lot of things. Bender like broke the donkey's spine in the Bitcoin episode.
It's because he's dancing on its back.
Yeah, and like I was like, okay, that's great, but that also doesn't feel super Futurama.
Yeah, that's fair. The slapstick definitely was ramped up just a little bit in this season.
Yeah.
I do feel like that it was there a lot, but it wasn't as prevalent. I think that might just be because it's a shorter season by Futurama standards, because they're usually not this short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a season, I'm looking at the episode list on the side. The seasons span years. They don't span just 1 year. They span multiple years.
That was a Fox thing, though. That's just how Fox would kill shows, is they would just hold episodes back. It's like how Nickelodeon has 3 seasons of SpongeBob airing at any given time.
Yeah, that's
true.
fair. That's fair.
So I don't think that's necessarily like, I would go by episode count, which I think that they were usually in the 20s because that's how TV was back then.
Yeah, back then, 26 episodes per season.
And they are getting 20. I mean, they're technically calling the other half season 12 now. But as far as I know, they were produced already. We were looking before the episode went live. They have the episode titles. I'm pretty sure those episodes are, if not done, they're being animated right now. So
Yeah, I mean, if they're already titled, then that means it happened before the strike happened, the writer strike.
yeah. Like
So
those episodes are
they're
locked.
in the can. They're getting done. Yeah.
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 I did have a couple notes that I wrote down on my phone as I was watching these episodes. The one thing about the Christmas episode I really liked was they repurposed the Kwanzaa bot integration. He was supposed to be a different part of that episode, and then Coolio passed away, so they turned it into a little end thing. So that was a little tribute to Coolio, which I thought was really nice.
I did not realize that
Yeah.
Coolio was the voice of Kwanzaa Bot.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's very nice that they did that. Then.
That was a really cool way of like taking what they already had and spinning it in a cool way.
Agree.
There weren't many celebrities this season, which I was kind of cool with. They did bring back
I'm
Al
kinda fine with
Gore.
that.
I was cool with Al Gore because that's always funny.
Al Gore.
Al Gore playing himself is always funny. They did give Bill Nye a head, which was something they teased when they did the mobile game. There was that really weird mobile thing they did because they were like, we'll take anything we can get Futurama. And so they gave Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye heads. And now Bill Nye has an official in-universe head for Futurama, which is kind of cool.
I think Neil deGrasse had a head from maybe a season past.
No, it was only for the game.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too, but
I feel like I don't know why. Maybe I'm thinking of
There was a different
famous
scientist
scientist
that I remember dunking on both of them. I think it was like they did a Stephen Hawking one where Stephen Hawking
Stephen Hawking had one.
dunked
yes.
on.
I'm trying to think.
Well, there was when they announced the game, or when they announced something for Futurama, they had all three scientists in heads: Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I think it was Stephen Hawking, and he's making fun of the other two for not being in the show.
Okay.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was, because Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't really huge in 2012. He was around,
not
but
really.
I remember there being another famous scientist during the episode where Fry goes quantum level from drinking all the coffee.
yeah, there was
Sagan?
definitely another one. I don't remember who it is though.
Carl
I don't remember
Sagan,
what it is off the
maybe?
top of my head.
No,
Maybe?
it could be Sagan, but that'd be with an actor too. Usually with the scientists, they have them do their own voices.
Right. Did they ever get Michio Kaku on this show? I don't think so.
I don't
right?
think so.
He was never big enough. Like, he wasn't impactful. He was just on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I do think that the most interesting episode this season was the last episode that was released, episode 10. That episode was really good.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That was a very good episode. Strong
Genuinely
closer.
thought-provoking a little bit, like, and it was just
Yeah.
kind of like, it doesn't matter. Like, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, the positive existentialism of it was a very good statement to make. Kevin, you were going to say? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I liked it. I didn't love it. I know that they had been hyping it up before the season, where they were like that episode, like every episode. It wasn't just them. It was like the press that had the whole run of shows ahead of time for reviews. They were all saying episode 10 is the best one. Like that's classic Futurama, and so
It is.
I didn't get my hopes up, but I know people were getting their hopes up at one point about, oh, what if they explain why some of the stuff is slightly different this season by explaining in this episode that they're in a simulation, and that's why it's different than past seasons. Like that's why Fry sounds older. That's why whatever. Because they've always done in-universe explanations for those sorts of things. So I could have seen that. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that they do then have Bender show up. Like there's a Bender that comes down from whatever the top level simulation is, because the Futurama we're watching is also a simulation then. Like I liked that they did hit that point. I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good episode, probably the best of the season. But maybe I wanted it to go a little bit further because it was kind of surface level on the simulation idea because of how recursive it had to be.
Yeah.
I think my favorite episode of the season was the Amazon episode.
I think it's my favorite.
I think that's just because the commentary hit close to home, and I sort of was already on the page of if we were in a simulation, it doesn't matter. So it's like that was kind of no new thoughts for me, but roll credits. But they did make some very good points about being in a simulation, which I thought was interesting. This idea of we do like wacky things, then like we'll overload the computer, and I was like, okay, well, there's another very popular piece of media that actually kind of hit on that idea that came out recently that I don't want to say because it'll spoil it. So, you know,
it's Better Call
another
Saul.
very
think,
award-winning movie. You know?
I think that what you said about it being positive existentialism, I did enjoy that part, but no, like you said, it just kind of felt a little more surface level than I was expecting out of Futurama. I thought they would go a little bit further with it than that, which isn't a bad thing. You know, again, this was also supposed to be the first half of a season, so we have to keep in mind that these were produced as 20 episodes. But I know that there was also there were a lot of new people on staff. Obviously, they brought new writers in. They brought new directors in on top of the usual crew, and I thought for the most part it held its own. Like there was the one episode that was not very good, and the rest I think were good. Maybe not like A+ great, but I'm not against that because again, it's all Futurama is going to be pretty good, even if it's pretty bad. Like they would have really had to screw the pooch for this to. Well,
and even then, I think episode 9, like the bad one, I think it's bad because of decision making, not necessarily because any of the bits that were in the episode were necessarily bad, right?
Yeah.
Like again, maybe not memorable, but I think it was a bad decision to make an episode like that, although maybe a good thought on paper.
I think they didn't need to frame it the way they did which is I think
Agreed.
what you're getting at. I
Yeah,
don't
they
think you
coulda
needed
just-
the A plot. I think you
Right,
could have just
no.
made it an anthology of interest about Farnsworth made a bunch of the Commercializer 3000 or something, and you could have just made it that, and it would have been so much more than what it turned out to be. And
Right.
'cause-
Like, sorry, Justin, go.
No, yeah, I was gonna say I kept looking back at that A plot. I'm like, is there something that's connecting that A plot to all these commercials? Is there something
yeah,
that I'm
that's
supposed
what
to be
I was
looking
thinking
for?
too, and it just never does.
It just made it confused. It made me confused because I was like then watching this thing and I was like, it'll be done in like 20 seconds because it's gonna go back to the A plot.
Yeah.
And then that thing was 5 minutes long, and I'm like, then what's happening over with the A plot? And then the A plot didn't matter. So I was like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? What am I supposed to be paying attention to?
I feel like they wanted to do, and I know you guys haven't seen Rick and Morty, but they wanted to do an interdimensional cable episode, which is essentially Rick and Morty's version of the like anthology, like just do bits the whole episode. But it feels like they needed to differentiate it from that, so they went a little bit longer with the sketches.
See, they've done episodes that have been that. So I think if anything, it's a
know.
writer who maybe could have. I haven't looked at the writer list, but it could have been someone who came from Rick and Morty
Potentially
as a
There's
background,
definitely-
and that's just the episode that they got tasked
I
with.
will say, looking at the writing list for these episodes, every single episode I think is written by someone different.
Yeah, they had 10
Okay.
different writers. The final
Yeah.
episode
man.
was the showrunner, which is
Yeah.
why it was the most Futurama.
They
Yeah.
did do a good job of keeping a consistent tone all season. I will say that for having 10 different writers, that's fairly impressive.
Yeah.
For one writer per episode, keeping the tone relatively consistent. So
Yeah.
I like that. I
One
thought
of
that
the
was
two
well
writers
executed.
for that 9th episode, he did Letterman, Andy Richter Controls the Universe, Malcolm in the Middle, The Simpsons, and Rick and Morty.
Did he do
and
old
Morty.
Futurama ever?
He did do old Futurama, I believe.
Okay.
Futurama, he did Hell is Other Robots, Why Must I Be a Crustacean in Love.
Those are good episodes.
He was
those are
in
good
Beast with the Billion. He helped write Bender's Game and Beast with a Billion Backs too.
I mean, maybe somebody stuck the anthology on him. Maybe that was it. Maybe they were just like, "Hey, the studio's like, we're doing an anthology. Hey, you're experienced. You do it."
Maybe.
It was
I don't
Eric
know.
and Ari John Kaplan, if you know the names.
I do not.
Doesn't
I
ring a
don't
bell,
either.
but
No.
like the episodes that you said that he had taken part in were like good episodes. I those are like early Futurama episodes. So
Yeah.
who
Which
knows?
is why I'm surprised. Like
You know.
that's where the way it came out.
Everyone has a dud. We're on the CRUBCAST, so we know.
Exactly.
So, do we have any other? This is gonna be a shorter episode anyway. Do we have any other thoughts that we want to like throw out? Rapid fire things we haven't hit on. There are episodes that I know we're missing that I haven't.
I
can't
think
about.
episode 8, the Zap gets canceled one. I feel like that's actually the most Futurama-y episode I've ever that they have in this season.
I really like that.
Like
episode.
that one,
I
it has a
like
really
that
good
episode.
through line. It has a really strong bit. The jokes land. Like
Yep.
the B plot of then Leela taking Zap's job and everyone loving Leela
Yeah,
on the Nimbus, and then Leela not being able to do Zap's job because what Zap's job is being a terrible person.
yeah,
Like that really lands.
Yeah.
And then like the whole bit of like this entire air-based planet is going to be contaminated by durian.
that part also.
Oh, yeah, that was a good bit.
The air-based creatures are all just fondlers. Like that's perfect for
They
the
just- they just
episode
wanna-
that we're.
Yeah.
That's perfect for the episode that we're like talking about here. It was
Yeah.
really really well done. That you might be right. That might be the strongest episode. I think.
That is
Like
very
it's the most
strong.
Futurama episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Like Zap wearing green face, like it's stupid. Like it's great.
yeah. I liked the Space Italy bit in the finale.
Yeah. That was good.
That was one that was like very memorable throughout the whole season. Like out of all the bits in the season, that was one of the ones that I remembered. Otherwise, not too many memorable bits this season for me.
I wish it's the Nibbler episode, which is the episode 4, the Parasites
Yeah.
one with the worms.
That's a good.
I wish it
episode.
had more Nibbler in it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I really liked. So I don't know if you remember this episode from a couple seasons back, where it's Leela and Nibbler fighting against the cat planet.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like that dynamic was so good, and when I saw that it was a Nibbler episode, I thought we were gonna get more of that dynamic.
Right.
But Nibbler is getting, the story of the episode is he's getting more dumbed down because of the parasites.
yeah.
So therefore, it gets taken and put into the back seat until the very end of the episode, where it just kind of Deus Ex Machinas everything.
Yeah, that was a weird. I thought they were gonna like do something more of substance with that at the end than they did, but also the whole drug tripping subplot didn't really land for me on that one either.
Yeah, me neither. The ending of that episode was not as strong as the rest of it, I think.
No.
Because I had to rewind that ending several times to register like, oh, wait, did this episode end? Like, my brain just wouldn't let me. And also Nibbler sounds like Moriarty.
There's one thing I did want to say that I didn't write down about that last episode that I really, really enjoyed. They didn't ever hit you on the head with it, but I loved Bender going out of his way to care about the small creatures in the simulation because he's had experience being a god for a whole species. Because there's that episode where there's that whole like civilization that lives on him and he can't control them being killed.
Yeah.
Or he can, but then he's a bad ruler. You could tell, at least it felt to me, that they were playing that up where Bender is like, you need to promise me that you will not end the simulation because you are responsible for these creatures now. And I really, really liked that because I love that Bender episode.
Yep. That is one of the best episodes of the entire series to me, too. I really like that episode.
I'm glad they didn't reference the dog. They don't need to again.
Yeah,
they referenced him in the Comedy Central revival at some point, and I got sad, and I don't never mention him again, please.
Yeah, never mention him again.
You made one of the best episodes of TV. You don't have to talk about it again. You did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was surprised there maybe wasn't an episode going back to the past at all. Not like going back in time, but like another Fry in 2000 episode. They've come to that well a few times throughout the run, throughout multiple runs of the show, and I'm almost surprised they didn't do one more.
I'm glad they didn't, though. I'm not
opposed. I'm not like I don't hate that they didn't, but I'm surprised they didn't because they probably have a couple more bits they could have done.
Because in episode 6, they have the time machine in that last episode of the last run.
Mm-hmm.
That one, Farnsworth's like, now I can go back in time. So that would have been a very easy way to just be like, we're going back in time to 2000 to go back to when Fry was there, and then you could actually bring Leela and Bender and everybody back there.
Yeah.
And they could kind of react to 2000s.
Well, they've done that with
that
the 50s episode too. So it's tough because then there's the you can't play with time stuff. Like they play with time a lot, but they're always very heavy on if you do something in the past, you can't undo it. Like Bender sat underneath Roswell for 1,000 years. Which was great. But I guess we'll end then with, what do you want to see them do with the next 10 episodes? Are there any specific things that we haven't seen in Futurama that have occurred in the past 10 years or so?
I think it might be a little too early for this if they have already like finished production and everything, but I would like to see an AI episode, some kind of commentary on that.
They kind of did with this episode, because they're talking about Bender being an AI. They were talking about how Bender is an AI, and therefore he, like, per Farnsworth, he can't have his own feelings because it's all code. But then if they're all just code, does it matter? Like that, they're kind of hitting on that a little bit, and they've done AI episodes before.
Yeah, but I think like, I don't know. I think there's been new developments that they could commentate on, but I do agree that maybe it is a bit overdone in the universe already.
Deep fake
maybe
episode.
They don't need that.
That's how you would do it.
Right, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's how you would do it. Yeah.
That was the lens that I was thinking of it through, is like a deep fake episode, like
that could work.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff. Justin, you have any?
I'm trying to think. So I know. Okay, so I'm looking at the title list of the next season. There is an episode about Squid Game.
Nice.
So there is one there.
Yeah, that's so such a,
because you have to remember
they would have been writing it right around that time. Though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have to remember that's when they're writing this.
Yeah,
but that's what sucks about the COVID one. Like,
yeah,
it's just so small bananas compared to like
Squid Game was like the biggest television show of all time.
Well, yeah, but it's like not. It's not like society. Like it's not like gonna last forever type of thing. You know what I mean? Like that's a.
Yeah, but we're talking about a show that had Lucy Liu as a recurring character. We're talking about lasting forever.
Okay, you got me there.
The point of The Simpsons and
got me there.
Futurama was never something that lasts forever. It's a flash in the pan, and you
Yeah.
make a commentary about that. Same thing with South Park, too.
Because that was what I didn't like when I first watched the Comedy Central seasons, was that there was a Kim Kardashian reference before she was like massive.
Right.
And I was like, why are you referencing like that? And then I realized, I went back at some point. I was like, oh wait, that's always been that way. I just didn't get the references because I was like 10.
Yeah, maybe me too. Because I like, last time I watched Futurama, I think was in undergrad. So I even still would have been pretty inexperienced at that point to understand a lot of it. That is a good point. So yeah, Squid Game makes sense.
Are there any others that are in that list, Justin, that seem like they're hitting on a thing?
Planet Espresso is one of them. One is silicone and the other is gold, so that one might be a Silicon Valley kind of thing.
That might be a chips.
Yeah, chips.
It could be a chips thing.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be weird that they would do that, though, because they've done a bunch of episodes in this season already involving tech.
Yeah.
Like with like farmers like making new chips.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of things that are happening since the last run of Futurama that they could then have a commentary on now that they're back. And it's like that.
I'm surprised they didn't do a dupe Brexit episode.
Oh, true.
They should do a Brexit episode.
Like,
they should do a Brexit episode.
I'm surprised they didn't do a dupe Brexit.
Because they did a politics episode with Nixon, so like they don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Was there a Nixon episode this season?
Not this season.
Oh,
There
okay.
was a couple seasons back where it was that guy that came from the future go back to the past to go and run against Nixon because Nixon ran the country into the ground. But then he won, so therefore there was a time paradox, so he disappeared and then Nixon won.
Was there any Nixon at all in this season?
Yes,
there was like
during the COVID
one.
episode.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to
He
think.
was giving the key to no. He was giving the key to the city after their last pandemic, and that's when COVID started happening again.
Yeah. That's also where Bill Nye is. That's right. That makes sense. I was trying to think. I was like, I'm surprised they didn't, but then I thought maybe they were just like, maybe we don't hit on anything involving a president for a while. Like maybe we just
maybe
we just avoid that.
Good on them.
Like,
good on
I feel
them.
like it's very low hanging fruit as well.
Yeah.
Plus Nixon's such a good character in the show. Like to not have him would be a travesty, even if he only has one thing.
Agree strongly. Yeah, I was gonna say not much has happened over the past several years. I mean, I could see them easily doing a commentary on how like the phones are all the same essentially, like from the iPhone 14 to 15 is not like a huge jump, or like maybe some kind of a shrinkflation type commentary, but like everything other than that, I don't really know. Kevin, you look like you got something lined up.
Can we put a banner that just says, quote, Nico, not much has changed the past 10 years? Can we just? I feel like we need
A lot
that.
has changed. We had a pandemic, Nico.
Well, no, but I think I meant to say the last 3 years. I think I meant to say not much has changed.
Is it between the beginning of the pandemic and now?
Yes, that's what I meant. That is the time period that I was
Okay,
referring.
that's a little bit better.
It's not great, but it's better than the last 10 years.
I didn't mean 10 years. I meant the last 3. Not much has changed since March of 2020.
Well,
I'll give
a
you
lot of changes happened.
I'll give
and
you a
then
pass
went
on
back
that.
To
I'll give you a pass on that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff from before 2020 that they can still hit on. That's more what my question was. I don't have a good answer. Like I didn't think about that question until we were on air.
Yeah.
So
that's a great question.
yeah,
And the fact that
Absolutely a
we're
great
saying all
question.
these things, and the second episode of the next season is Squid Game, is kind of like
Yeah.
kind of
true.
shows where everyone's brain is going in terms of the writing room there.
I'm waiting for
Did they
Taylor
do-
Swift head in a jar. Like that's going to show up somewhere.
Did they do a TikTok episode yet? They had to. Or does the streaming episode, the binge watching episode, count for that?
I think that's closer to the Amazon episode. Like they don't do TikTok in it, but the short
It's
attention span
close.
delivery time issue,
It's close.
like not
I feel like that
not being
could
able to
happen,
wait.
though.
Yeah, they could do an influencer type episode. Or
The- oh wait,
never
there was
did
the
do
follower
anything like that.
episode. No, that's an old episode. They did an episode about Twitter back before they got re-canceled, where they did the one with Leela having the well-timed aged joke of the Susan Boyle on her ass.
Oh yeah,
And they're
I
getting
remember
followers.
that.
Like that's very much a Twitter
yeah.
episode.
That was like viral videos as well.
It was
They never had
Yeah,
an influencer.
Everyone was
episode, though.
literally brainwashed. Like
Yeah.
that's a whole thing. So I think that's already kind of been a little bit covered.
But I feel like an influencer episode could do well.
Yeah, I feel like they could mush the influencer episode and the deepfake episode into the same thing. Like that could be, I could see that working as one storyline.
That might be one where I think an influencer episode is where I would probably say that might be too young for this writing team.
I think I agree generally. I agree generally.
I think that might be a little bit. I don't know. I think it'd be very old person writing for that one, unless I got one of the new writers to handle it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like I could see it being like older people who've only worked in TV being like, I don't get this old influencer thing.
I like the idea of just Fry being like, "Hey Leela, I got so much Riz." Like, I think that would absolutely. I don't know if it would have hit or not. I'm like slowly talking myself into it, but for now it's cringe.
It would be Farnsworth, first off. Check yourself.
Oh yeah, true. No, you're
and he'd be sitting
right.
on the toilet with his wrinkly ass legs, like in the 10th episode. I lost it at that scene. I lost it at that. Can you tell us not in the bathroom? No.
The belly coming out too underneath the shirt.
So good.
Oh man, dude, yeah, that was a good bit. Space Italy was my favorite bit of the season. I think that one was fucking stupid.
I liked it because it was so low effort. Like they were like it was
right.
It was so perfect for like, oh, if you're gonna shit on us for anything, like we've done it before, so shut up.
Yeah,
like I was.
I like literally. Farnsworth talked directly
Yeah.
to the audience. There was no mistake to be made. He's just like, when you're making a universe from scratch, sometimes you can't come up with creative names. Sorry, Justin, what were you gonna say?
But I like the idea of them like then going to Space Italy in the real simulation.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, all right, but we actually have a delivery to Space Italy, so like you should actually get on that.
Yeah.
Was there a
but then my
prior
favorite-
episode that involved a Space Italy that we're forgetting about?
It was the Da Vinci place.
Probably the Da Vinci place.
Because
Where Da Vinci was the stupidest guy there.
Well, because my
Yeah.
thought is then that would explain them going back to referencing that, because every other part of that episode where they're in the simulation, they're referencing episodes of the season.
Yeah,
So-
because they go to the Trev VV fountain and they put the coin in the fountain, and that takes them to the Leonardo place. So like there is a Space Italy,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
but it might just be actual Italy.
Yeah, that's true. Because that would be interesting if it's like an episode that we all just forgot existed. Like everybody on Earth forgot there's an episode about Space Italy, and like
Space Italy.
everyone's like, "Oh, that's just stupid," but it's actually just been part of the show since like 2004.
Let's see.
And I also appreciate that they're in Rome and then going through canals like it's Venice.
Well, I
in that
searched.
episode of
Yeah,
Space Italy.
yeah.
I searched Space Italy and it came up with the Italian Space Agency.
That's correct.
Okay, let's see. Space Italy Futurama. Season 11, Space Italy.
Probably not.
That's this current one.
Yeah,
No, I don't
probably not then.
Think
Either
so.
way, maybe that was the thing that
Futurama.
maybe that was the thing they just hit on
Is
at
that
some
the
point in the
porno?
past.
No. Sorry.
You sure?
Continue.
Whatever the case, I think we're out of things to say for this episode.
Yeah.
So let us know.
It was good. I wanted to pick up where it left off from this season into the next one.
Yeah.
Agree.
You got the ball rolling. Keep it going.
Yeah. Let us know, YouTube comments, what you think about this season if you've watched it or if you're going to watch it. Just let us know. Hit the like button or else. And follow us on any platform. Go to crub.org. We have all the audio podcasts you could possibly want and then some. And tell your friends to subscribe to this channel so that I can pay our editor. That'd be cool.
That'd be rad. Be super cool of you if you did that.
Have we
Yeah.
not been paying him?